FedEx full, we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, ain't no need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Commanders moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. K-Dot in the mid, dissect the grind. District divider with a city in mind. Join the damn squad, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the words, so shit is shit. K-Dot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC Sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. This episode, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about, actually, even though it's the dead period right after the NFL draft. The 2027 NFL draft is going to be in Washington, D.C. It was announced, so we're going to touch on that, our thoughts on it, and some of the numbers they're expecting in terms of attendance for it, which is pretty ambitious and pretty cool. We'll see. Adam Peters, our GM, our savior, if you will, was on Pat McAfee's show. He had a nice interview with him for about half an hour. So we're going to talk about our thoughts about that. Rookie minicamp underway. What are our expectations? Who are we hoping pops? We're going to mention some of the names that are in there, review the draft picks, talk about some of the undrafted free agents and people trying out. That's actually a different bucket as well. Are we playing in Spain? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about George Pickens very briefly going to the Dallas Cowboys. That's divisional news, so we'll touch on it. Comment mailbag as we always do. But before we begin this episode, if you could please like it, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
DC got the draft. Yeah, we took that prize. Had to play the game and smile through all them lies. Rookie camp cracking. The future looks tight. Peter's dropping bars on McAfee's mic. And Pickens to Dallas? That's cute. Go choke. All clowns, one circus. Same tired ass joke. The message is loud. The culture's legit. You know the motto, bitch. That shit ain't shit.
Share this shit. Those get better and better, Kate. You're already starting at a 10. You're finding an 11. I mean, that's unbelievable. Well done. Well done. And with that, let's go ahead and talk about the NFL draft. The one 2 years from now, right? So the one next year is going to be in Pittsburgh. And of course, that's a rabid fan base over there. It's going to be great. The one in Green Bay, also amazing representation over there by Packers fans. And now, the Washington Commanders are going to get the opportunity to be the host city. City of Washington is going to get to host the NFL draft. And people are saying that they are expecting 1 million plus each day for the NFL draft. Day 1, first round. Okay, makes sense. Day 2, all right, second, third round picks. Day 3 as well. K-Dot, your reaction to the news, it sort of just popped up out of nowhere and then was official like a day later.
Yeah. All right, before I get to the stuff that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's cool. This is cool. Now I know in 2027 there's going to be a select few days to stay the fuck away from Washington, D.C. That's just me. It's dope in the sense of like what it is that we're seeing with the new stadium coming in. Our profile has now raised. Okay, we don't get this with Dan Snyder as the owner of this football team. It's just not going to happen. Nobody wants to play ball that way. I will say I do remember. I think it was 03 or 04. The NFL did like the kickoff ceremony in DC, and it was like Britney Spears was there and a bunch of stuff, and it was raining. I had one of the worst goddamn afternoons of my entire life out there. Just in the mud, couldn't see shit. You stand all the way back. I'm like, all right, it's one thing if I'm here for like the civil rights movement or I'm here for the Million Man March. Nah, I'm here watching Britney Spears and fucking cut off like, I think it was we were playing the Jets or some shit. That sucked. I ain't going, but it's cool. It's cool. And I ain't gonna lie, hearing, this is where we get to the uncomfortable part. Hearing Josh Harris, you're the true commander. You got to play the game. you got to play the game. It's the same thing that I felt when getting a little bit political, but when anybody that's in Washington, you know, Mayor Mario Bowser, when she had to get rid of Freedom Plaza there on 16th Street, Black Lives Matter, and you even hear the artist is like, look, man, it's fucked up. We don't want to do it, but you know who's in the office and we got to get some shit done. So it's only temporary. You got to do what you got to do. So you might be like, I'm hoping Josh Harris, like afterwards had to take a shower, but he got it and we got it. And this is a big deal for Washington. It's a big deal for anything. I know that, but Pittsburgh has the year before we do.
Yes.
That's going to be the rivalry right there as far as what that turnout's going to be. Because the Pittsburgh Steelers fans are going to go fucking buck wild, and they got a large fucking fan base around. But for DC being DC, well, I won't be participating. It's very important that most of you guys go, just to make sure that those numbers hit and that we become this. I mean, as we're about to talk about some other things, our profile, man, from an international level is about to get, it's changing.
I think the larger conversation is exactly that, Kate, about our profile as a team. A lot's happened, right? So last year, we get Jayden Daniels, we get Adam Peters, who we're going to talk about here in a moment. We get Dan Quinn, Josh Harris is owner. And we go to the NFC Championship game for the first time, essentially in our lifetimes, Kate, right? In our conscious awareness, beyond the age of 3, essentially. Now we're hosting the NFL draft. RFK Stadium is going to be built. We got an international game, it looks like, and we'll talk about that as well. That's the larger conversation. And talking about the NFL draft here, the mock-ups of it being on the mall, which I believe is where it's going to actually be held, that's pretty cool, right? To have the monument one side, Capitol the other. Sometimes from work, I'll bike down and be able to see, both on 7th Street or 4th Street, whichever route I'm taking. And just visualizing, right, the setup for the NFL draft. And the NFL draft is going to be there in a few days. I'm thinking about 2027 now. That's going to be very cool. I think there's going to be a really awesome buzz within the city for it. Mm-hmm. We've talked about it on this podcast. We've talked about it on Rep the District, and hopefully with some other collabs coming. That this is a sleeping giant of a football town and a football region, right? And Dan Snyder, Bitch, really did a phenomenal job destroying all passion and confidence in the organization. And John has done an equally brilliant job bringing it back. So that's going to be a huge celebration of football is officially back in the nation's capital and in the DMV area. So I'm excited for it. I agree. Same sentiments on the level of discomfort. The true commander thing, I was like, oh, I know he has to do it, but not great. But is what it is. We get the draft. It's exciting.
Yeah, I was the same thing. Anytime Jayden Daniels were like, keep his name out your fucking mouth. Chris Rock that shit.
So that's Canadian.
Keep my quarterback's name out your fucking mouth. That's where I'm at. All right. But it's cool. And as someone who almost all of my clients are bars in and around the Washington, D.C. area, let's go. Especially the ones that are right there at the mall. I'm excited as far as a lot of things it'll mean for us a business standpoint, or just what it would mean to the city itself is just it's tremendous. I love that, as you're saying, when you grow up in DC, you get kind of jaded by just how incredible it is to just drive around and just see all this history and to see all these buildings that mean so goddamn much. And it's always been a shame that's anytime we play on a national televised game and they do the B-roll of the city. Outside of New York, ain't nobody fucking with us with that B-roll. As far as looking it, holy shit, that looks for a movie. It looks so picturesque. And to know that we don't have the international events and the shit happening that can show off what the city's about. And just representative of what America is about. What the fuck? We should be able to utilize that. And now it looks like we're finally getting our chance. And god damn it if it isn't for football to bring it to us.
Right.
Holy shit.
And that's the really cool part, right? Because whenever I see a bunch of Commanders jerseys, Skins jerseys from back in the day, that's Landover, Maryland, right? Is where I'm seeing that. Being able to see it in the city, just blocks away from, that's exciting. That is truly exciting. Seeing all those Commanders jerseys that are going to be out and about that day or those days and even leading up to it. And some other NFL jerseys, just all sorts of NFL jerseys. It almost feels like a World Cup type thing where all these different, people from different countries are coming to watch their team play. Well, here we're watching them pick. I recognize that, but it's still really cool to bring the entire NFL universe here. So yeah, it's fucking dope. Any final thoughts here, Kate, before we move on?
Hey, maybe by the time that rolls around, we'll be on Meteor Row or some shit, and maybe I'll be forced to go and attend some stuff.
Yeah, well, hey, I'll do my best to protect you, but I also won't do it too hard. Be like, oh no, K-Dot, you gotta show up.
Breaking news just came across. I didn't know. Everybody needs to know this. Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick's girlfriend, has been banned from the UNC facilities. I'm sorry.
You taking notes? You trying to figure that one out? How do I get banned so that I don't have to go to this draft?
Nah, how do I be like Bill?
Let's go to the next one. Let's talk about Adam Peters. Adam Peters. I don't think you guys understand how tough my job is when he says what he says. No, so Adam Peters went on the Pat McAfee show. He's been on there once before. It was actually right after we drafted Jayden Daniels, the connection, Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was on the Pat McAfee draft show that year, and he got Adam Peters on that way. This time, Adam Peters had a proper, I don't know if sit down is the correct term, but it was a longer conversation. It wasn't just a 5-minute check-in. It was half an hour, and they were asked all sorts of questions. He was asked about the franchise as a whole right now. He was asked about what it looked like when he got there. He was asked about Jaylin Lane, for example. I learned a good amount about Jaylin Lane and just the humanitarian award bit.
Humanitarian really cool. Runs a 4.3.
Yeah. And they were like, how's he available in the 4th round? I thought that was a fun little moment over there. A lot was said. K-Dot, what did you take away from the conversation? Anything in particular that excited you?
I like the fact that it seemed like we're about fucking business and we're doing everything we can. The excitement level, the fact that Adam looks like he's just doing his fucking job and he knows it. What I see is clarity in the mission from our leadership, right? It's like they know what the fuck it is they're going about. And anytime that we start talking about the guys that we draft, you talk about guys like Jaylin Lane, and you hear more of the stories, like when they went long form of the Josh Conerly and the piece of paper and what happened as far as Cliff watching all the Oregon tape and stuff like that. That cohesiveness in the organization right now under Adam Peters' leadership to me is just, anytime there was anybody that was speaking on behalf of the franchise or anything, it was just like, all right, how badly did they embarrass us on a national stage? And it feels as though like shit, Vinny Serrato or Bruce Allen out there fucking chatting. It was just like, God damn it. Can we take all these lies? Can we take this, that, and the other? And you just see they actually do want to get better. When they talked about the locker room, what they're doing with the facilities, and how much they're still trying to put into it. They had a very candid conversation about the fact that they were an F- going on an F as far as the facilities in the locker room. Progress, but he's not sugarcoating anything. It's, we got to get better. We're getting better. There's construction happening right now. They're working on it right now. I love hearing that shit. And then your boy had a ride when they started talking about Jaylin Lane. I'm telling you, man. Did you watch the tape?
I did. Electric.
No.
I'm with you.
He ain't had no quarterback.
He did not. Some of those throws were wow. I was like, oh my Lord.
So I'm just saying, like, I love that. And I love the excitement and the buzz that starts building around things, man. I like the fact that you got people from the national, like, we got guys like Pat McAfee talking about our organization with guys from our organization, and we ain't a clown show. This isn't, hey, dunk on Commanders, the Redskins, the Washington football team time about the ridiculous shit that they said. It's, this is a team to watch. And you start hearing that groundswell almost around the nation is like, you got a lot of people that are about to flip that switch and be Commanders fans soon if they ain't already. And like, I like being that team, and I like hearing it just feels good to have leadership and to know that like they're adults running the fucking show. Like that's just dope.
Two things that stood out to me in that interview with Pat McAfee. One, the immediate recognition by Adam Peters, and he was candid, excuse me, where he was telling them, he was like, hey, when I got here, the practice field was AstroTurf.
Right.
And he was just floored by that. Couldn't believe it. He thought that it was a picture from a few years ago. It was like, oh, actually, it was just taken last week, as it turns out. And this is what a pro football team is practicing on, right? And then you consider that Landover, Maryland, that's not AstroTurf. So now you're playing on grass. So you're practicing on turf. You're ultimately playing on grass. What sort of home field? It's already away from everything. So you could just see, just that in and of itself was a microcosm of the dysfunction that was going on over here, the lack of investment, the way that family members of the players were treated, right? That was an F minus, something like that. Now it's a B plus or something along those lines. Like that is a massive difference, right? And that starts with ownership. Speaking of ownership, this was the second thing that popped to my mind, and I loved it. He was talking about Josh Harris, Adam Peters was, and he had said, well, you know, he's doing his best to be a steward for the city. And the reason I love that so much, not only just for the line in and of itself, and I appreciate that that's how Josh views himself, but that is literally what Josh said when introducing Adam Peters. He said, I want to be a steward for the city. we have held on to that line and that consistency, right? Josh isn't sitting next to Adam Peters during this interview. Adam says it himself. I hear first class. That comes from San Francisco. That comes from the Eddie DeBartolo Jr. days. Right. So now I'm thinking, man, we talk about lockstep. We talk about the Josh Conerly piece of paper that Cliff Kingsbury has. We talk about playing fast. All the sayings that we have are consistent, and all the sayings that we have, I see happening. And so that little steward for the city line immediately triggered that memory, and I was like, man, this is incredible. He is literally the same person he said he was day one. Yep. So I think it spoke volumes of ownership through the Adam Peters interview. And of course, the Commanders Caucus was awesome. Jaylin Lane being the guy that everyone absolutely loved. Trey Amos, the second round pick before that, our R&D department absolutely loving that, having a roar from the other, having a roar from the other room. It was a really cool interview, K-Dot.
The fact that we call our analysts R&D is just the shit. I don't know why.
It's dope. Yeah, if you check with R&D, we want to make this pick.
And on the Josh Harris tip, like, in all honesty, man, like the stewardship for the shit, like what he's doing when it comes to bringing the stadium back, he kept his word. He worked diligently on doing that. I mean, it's not a done deal yet, but he's working his ass off for it. What they're doing as far as bringing the draft in, what he did as far as the time spent as we were cataloging here on the podcast of making sure that the right guys were getting put in place here in the organization. And then above all else, if we're just looking at it from a Josh Harris standpoint, there ain't much you can say about how much somebody loves a team and a city to see him sell his soul to the devil like that in that White House. Like you got to know that sacrifice means a ton, right? Like if you do that, you're all in, and I love it.
Yeah. No, not much more to be said over there. And it was a dope interview. If you guys haven't seen the interview, I'd say it's worth watching. It's enjoyable. There are elements of comedy to it as well, but I think that there are a lot of through lines that are serious, and you can actually see a bit behind the scenes of how we've grown as an organization just in the past year. It's really cool to see.
I would ask you, when's the last time you watched Pat McAfee before you watched this?
Oh, it's been, honest to God, close to a year.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, it's been a while. I was like, oh, right, you're on the show. Like, I had sort of forgotten. It's been a while. Yeah,
that was weird.
Yeah, it was. It was. All right, any final thoughts here before we move on to rookie minicamp?
And Adam, we trust.
In Adam, we trust. And on to the rookies that he brought in. Beginning with, I just want to quick congratulations to Jaylin Lane, to Kain Medrano, and to Jacory Croskey-Merritt, who signed their rookie deals. So they're officially on board. Love that we took care of that very, very quickly. We draft them, and 2 weeks later, it's like, okay, also you're signed. So that's great. Heading into rookie minicamp, which is underway. Media availability on Saturday. So you won't hear anything. This according to John Kahn. You won't hear anything about the players, how they're doing, who's doing what, etc., until tomorrow. So you can scour for it. Good luck. You're probably not going to see anything. But once again, the draft picks, just Josh Conerly Jr., first rounder, Trey Amos, second rounder. We jump over to Jaylin Lane, the darling of this podcast for sure. Spearheaded by our very own K-Dot there. Kain Medrano, 6th round pick, Jacory Croskey-Merritt, the 7th. The 7th round pick. He is not the 7th, Jacory Croskey-Merritt. And then other names to note that are signed undrafted free agents. Okay, this is going to be different from tryout because I'm going to mention that in a moment.
Right.
Timothy McKay, offensive guard from NC State. Ricky Barber, we mentioned last time, D tackle from Central Florida. Trey Rucker, new name that I don't believe we mentioned last time, safety out of Oklahoma State. Robert McDaniel, we did, safety from Jackson State. Carlin, did we finally figure out how to pronounce the last name? Was it Vigors?
No.
Vigors?
You think I'm going to look that up? I like fucking them up.
No, that's true. You're right. That was a really bad question on my part. Corner out of Louisiana Monroe that K-Dot loves. Ventrell Cypress, also mentioned by K-Dot, Florida State corner. Cam Arnold, linebacker, Boston College. K-Dot loves his Boston College boys. Wide receiver Ja'Cory Brooks from Louisville. A little buzz over there. Jacoby Jones, not the Jacoby Jones you're familiar with. This guy's an undrafted free agent. Wide receiver, Central Florida. And linebacker Ale Cajo from UCLA, Kain Medrano's teammate. So K-Dot, over here, rookie minicamp, what are you expecting? What are you hoping for besides no injuries, obviously? It's from the 8th. I think it's actually just starting today. and then 10th, 11th before training camp a few weeks from now.
Yeah. What to expect, I'm not entirely sure. I think you'll start hearing buzz about certain guys that are just those athletes. Like, I expect Jaylin Lane, there's going to be stuff that comes out about him, about how explosive he looks and that and the other. I just want to hear consistency more than anything as far as the rookies go. I want to hear that they're like getting into a groove more than anything. But there's like certain position groups that you're just looking at and like, all right, this is just stuff to watch because of the amount of bodies that they have in there. Also knowing who is on the active roster. So anything happening in the secondary is just going to be complete. Feed me all the information you can feed me as far as knowing what's going to happen. Some of the undrafted free agent guys, I do like some of these guys. I like Carr, Lane Biggers. Like I dig him. I Rob McDaniel. I heard Logan Paulson say this. Is like if you watch, and I did get to watch the tape. Logan Paulson actually, they did. He talked about two of the guys, and then after he talked about them, I went and I did some deep dives and looked at their highlight tape, and impressed me at least to some degree. One of them was Rob McDaniel, who you can see almost that Jeremy Chin sort of hybrid guy.
Yeah, his size is comparable.
Yeah, so like you can see that, and you can see just, all right, it looks like he might be a physical dude. So I don't know how much that'll show up in like a mini camp, but I think it's somebody to kind of watch out, and I'm hoping he's around for a bit. Kind of along the same lines as what's our Tyler Owens? It was there last year, like one of those guys. Right. So I'm hoping that ends up being the case for that. Outside of that, I'm also looking at linebacker. When you have Cam Arnold, I like my Boston College guys, as you said, and Ali Caho, who teammates with Kain Medrano, both of them very well known to Ken Norton Jr., our linebackers coach. So, like, what happens with there? I know that the guys are high on Jordan McGee, at least that's what everybody talks about. Yeah. I know that a lot of people, including yourself, are very high on Dominic Hampton. But with that, behind Bobby Wagner, I think there is truly a search for, hey, old man can't be around forever. Who's going to take the reins afterwards? So I think that's going to be something that we really look at. So defensive backs, who's going to make a name for themselves that actually makes this active roster? Because right now you look at like the cornerbacks alone, you can tell me a bunch of different combinations of who's going to start and who's going to go where. And I'm like, I could see that. I could see that going into the season. So I want that to kind of take shape. Linebacker, who's standing out. And then to me, the thing that probably is the most fun is wide receiver, actually, at this point. But Jaylin Lane being who he is and who I think about him, but also another guy that Logan Paulson talked about was Jacory Brooks. If you look at anything as far as the raw numbers or data about him, you're not going to be impressed. You're just not. Like, I think he's 6'2", kind of lanky, 6'2", going on 6'3", kind of lanky, not really built all that out. He ran like a 4.54, I think was his 40 time. So it's like, okay, that's fine. But when you watch the tape for him, man can track a football. There's one player, I forget who it is they were playing against, but it's literally, if you type in his name on Twitter, you're gonna see one of these two videos like pop up. But it's like the way that he can track anything happening in the air with his eyes, with that size, makes me kind of excited. The other stat, and I don't have it specifically, but it was I think he was third in all the NCAA as far as the major wide receivers, as far as 20+ yard receptions. Something to keep an eye on. So like wide receiver, we know we have some of the vets. You got KJ Osborne, who I might not be super high on, but he's a vet. He's there. They gave him compensation to go get him. You also got Michael Gallup, who's also there. Can any of the young guns or the young guys get in and probably jostle one of those guys out of position or make a name for themselves where it's like it starts getting really interesting as far as who might be on the practice squad or what have you? Those are the three position groups to me. It's like, all right, what's kind of happening and what's shaping up to give you an idea of who's going to make the roster and what the team's going to look like.
To second what you said, linebacker represents an enormous opportunity here, right?
Yes.
Because it's Bobby, it's Frankie, and we'll see, right? Like we know Jordan McGee, we know Dominique Hampton, but limited playing time, injuries, right. We don't know what we have there. So if you're Kain Medrano, if you are Cam Arnold, if you are Ali Cajo, right? Like there is a huge opportunity here for you.
100%.
You're in the right spot for that position group. Wide receiver, also very intriguing because while Deebo Samuel listed as wide receiver 2, you can talk about his actual wide receiver skills versus sort of weapon skills where he's, someone out of the backfield that you could just hand the ball to or a jet sweep or something like that, not just a slant, right? Like what can these other guys do to bring in some energy and maybe some unique skill? to the wide receiver room. To your point, safety is an interesting one too, especially Robert McDaniel, because we've heard that a lot. I see that little smirk, K-Dot. Robert McDaniel.
He is the slant king.
He's really good at it. I mean, he is. He is.
He's really good at the slant.
Yeah, dude.
I don't want to eliminate that.
Former All-Pro. Yeah, exactly. Slant king. Robert McDaniel is a very interesting name because I think safety for some fans is an area of concern. One name I did not mention, and I meant to in the build up here, Gabe Taylor, right? So you guys have heard Gabe Taylor's younger brother, Sean Taylor. Why was he not mentioned with the undrafted free agents signed? Well, because he's actually trying out. So there is a difference there between trying out to then get signed as an undrafted free agent and those that are already signed. Already signed means you're already going to be at training camp. Trying out means, hey, you're trying to get onto the team to be at the training camp, right? And so that's what Gabe Taylor is attempting to do, along with a few others. But that's the most notable name. Just wanted to throw that in there. If you're like, why haven't I read Gabe Taylor's name? That's why. He's trying out. He's there, but he has a little more to do than the other guys in order to make the training camp. So adding that as well as a safety,
professional walk-on.
Exactly. That's a really good comp there. Really good analogy. Any final thoughts here, Kata?
Yeah, the only reason I bought a PlayStation 5 and I'm playing college football. A lot of fun. I haven't played video games forever. It's been great. No, this is exciting, and I love the idea that every year that I like seeing Adam Peters in this book, and I just want to see I just want to see these guys play. I want to hear everything about it. I can't wait. I can't wait for Saturday or Sunday to hear John Kine's first fucking report on what happened in fucking rookie minicamp. Just that's what I want to see. I just want to. We're getting that period where you start fantasizing about some shit. Mm-hmm. All right, got your faves, We're getting excited again, guys.
We are getting very, very excited again. Speaking of excitement in that international profile, K-Dot, un partido en España? Maybe?
Taco Bell.
Will there be a game in Spain week 11 against the Miami Dolphins? That is currently the rumor. NFL leaks, schedule leaks are beginning to happen right now. This is a pretty standard part of the offseason. Some other games have been leaked already as well internationally. And this is one of them, right? Our Commanders going to Miami in Spain. All right. It would take place in Madrid week 11. Get out your thoughts on that potential matchup happening internationally.
It's not our home game.
That was my biggest thing. I was like, you got to send us on a road game. Right.
I care about that more than any other part of it. With that also being said, I don't want to do this. I don't want our team to have anything to do with this. I don't like having to play. Look, as long as it's better than that Sao Paulo fucking game last year, I just need
Super Bowl champs went to Sao Paulo week 1.
I know, but that grass and that turf and everything was not great. And I just make sure you take care of our guys when they're over there.
That's true.
Look, the way that I'm going to feel about this is from a strictly Commanders football, what's happening as far as the outcome of the season. See what the schedule looks like, where the bye week is, this, that, and the other, as far as the way I'll really feel about it. That being said, as far as the overall, like, big picture overview, what it means for the franchise as a whole, international profile, baby. NFL draft coming, new stadium coming. We got the kid in Jayden Daniels, who's a fucking star. We've got Spain in international fucking play. Dope as shit. I'm not going to love getting up that early probably to watch that shit, but it just means that, look, I know anybody can go and have the international game, but it doesn't feel like that's what this is right now. It feels like we got this because the hype is real.
The hype is real. It's also cool to be able to go against the Miami Dolphins and be like, okay, cool. We should be the favorites in that game on a neutral field, right? Like that just, I feel like we have progressed a whole lot in the last year that now seeing Jayden Daniels and this offense that was really good last season against Tua, who, is a good quarterback, but not at the level of Jayden. He hasn't shown that once in his career to be that level, right? He's good. And he's got Tyreek Hill. He's got Jalen Waddle. It's going to be an exciting game, especially from the over-under perspective. Like, there should be a lot of points in that game. So Spain should have a great time with it. And like you said, I want to echo that sentiment. Please make sure that grass is good. Like, just come away with no injuries. Hope the boys have a good time in Spain with a dub, and then just come home and everyone is fine. They're doing what they need to do, which is going abroad and showing off a little bit. But those are my thoughts, Kata.
Arriba!
Arriba. All right, cool.
Angele! No, that's racist. That's Speedy Gonzalez.
Yeah, well,
get canceled.
You know me, I'm going to edit that out. We go over to George Pickens. Let's go ahead and conclude.
Edits.
That was the bit. So George Pickens goes to Dallas. It was a 3rd-round pick in 2026 sent over to Pittsburgh from Jerry Jones and that crew. Just wanted to touch on it real quick because it's NFC East related news. People know George Pickens' name. He's going to be the wide receiver 2 there. I think in his head, he's the wide receiver 1 there, and CD's going to adjust to him. Kate, your reaction to this?
Plaxico Bears, Antonio Brown, George Pickens. I'm good. Like, if we're looking at it, look, if we're not looking at George Pickens and the fact that he might be a little crazy, just a little bit. On paper, Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott throwing the football, I like it. If I was a Cowboy fan, I like it. I like it on paper. From an outside Commanders fan looking at the Cowboys, I'm like, oh yeah, bring that drama. Bring that fucking drama. And that's what I feel as though the overall narrative on this thing is going to be, is more drama than it is anything else. Look, George Pickens is not somebody I've completely written off. Like, oh shit, I forgot another. Chase Claypool. That's a motherfucker I wrote completely off.
Yeah, even Deontay Johnson.
Dog, when Mike Tomlin gets rid of a receiver, I think you should know it comes with a lot of warning labels. Okay, that's all I'm saying. If Mike Tomlin jettisons a player, beware. Just beware. Yeah, because and for a 3rd-round pick, I was like, I thought Pickens were more than that.
Well, it's a 1-year rental,
right?
He's gonna want money. Yeah.
All right. Did Dallas had done nothing over the course of the last 2 off seasons, really, that I could say made their team actually better, unless you really like their draft picks. And I got middling thoughts about some of the draft picks. This is the first move that I can absolutely say their roster got better after a transaction that got worse, as far as just pure talent.
Right.
Will it work out? I'm hoping not. And I don't have a whole lot of faith that it will. And as you said, who's number 1 receiver? CeeDee Lamb's not a problem child. He ain't. He might look like a diva, but he ain't a diva. I know he rocks that 88 that Michael Irvin bestowed upon him. So it comes with a certain little amount of weight, and everybody knows his talent level. But Pickens enters that building. I mean, Dak, I wish you nothing but headaches and terrible times.
So that's what I think, Kate. I think you're right in that the roster from a talent perspective got better. I'm not sure the team did. And so that's what makes me sort of excited for this. This seems like the Dan Snyder move, right? Like, okay, we'll take this super talented wide receiver. Yeah, he's got some character question marks. Yeah, he might implode on the field now and then, but man, hey, how exciting is it going to be seeing him in the burgundy and gold? Well, good news. We don't have to do that. We don't have to deal with that. The vibes are good over here. And Dallas now has a 1-year rental on their hands, who he's going to want his numbers so that he can get his money. And he's the kind of guy that it doesn't matter what the score is. He's going to lose his mind no matter what. So I am totally cool with this. I'm excited for it. I love even more that Cowboys fans love this move because they've just been starved for a move, right? And they finally get one. And so now they're like, oh, now we're back. And it's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Wait till week 3 hits. And CeeDee Lamb is the one that's getting all these targets and receptions. And George is like, this is a contract year. Not really having a good time right now. What should I do to make things interesting? That's how he operates. That's how he has so far. I'm curious to see. Hey, look, for him, supreme talent, in my opinion. Like, some of the cash radius is ridiculous. We even saw it last year against us. If he's able to like mentally be there, then it is a good move.
Yep.
But you also get into, are you paying 2 wide receivers that much money? No. Right? Because CD is already on 30 plus a year. And if George Pickens does well, he would, which would be great for Cowboys fans, he would also want that. And now the Cowboys are sort of the They're almost in the Cincinnati Bengals thing. We're paying the quarterback, we're paying 2 wide receivers, and you still got to pay Micah Parsons. So I'm curious to see how it works long-term for them. It feels like an all-in move when I don't think they're an all-in team. But I love it from our perspective.
The thing with Dallas at this point is that I like the Cincinnati comp. The reason I love the Cincinnati comp is that, like, look, if you had to pick a defense, Cincinnati's defense or Dallas' defense, which one are you picking?
Oh, I picked Dallas's.
Easily, right? Like,
right.
Not even really questioning it.
Yeah.
Offensively, you got Chase Brown. I like him. Is he special? Not really. I'm not impressed by the running backs in the Dallas room. But it's like, if you're not gonna run, what you got to do is just play defense and try to outscore everybody. And look, there's one thing that Dallas has been able to do pretty consistently when Dak Prescott's there in quarterback is they can score some fucking points. And like, to add Pickens and CeeDee Lamb is a fucking nightmare. Look, when Pickens has his head screwed on right and he's healthy, his ceiling from a talent standpoint is remiss to say easily top 10. Like, just from a talent standpoint, just saying talent. I don't think that it comes together all that often, right? But if it was like, if he could wake up tomorrow with the try hard, just doing my job and doing my job to the best of my abilities of like a Jerry Rice, motherfucker's a problem. Okay, it's just he can't get there. It's just you can't get there. It's like, and the thing is, like, that's why the best comps for George Pickens are those former Pittsburgh Steelers receivers.
Yep.
It's Antonio Brown. Look, there's a case to be made that period that Antonio Brown was on top of the league. If we're looking at pure talent in the history of the game, it's up there. It's fucking up there. Yet, I'll never put him in a goddamn conversation because you had to deal with the Antonio Brown shit. But, like, what is Pickens going to be? And this is going to be his opportunity. When that star gets put on that fucking helmet, I don't know, man. It feels like egos get bigger. So, like, I don't know. I don't know. It just depends on how they go about it. CeeDee Lamb, to me, I think everybody had a preconceived notion of the way he was going to be, and he kind of flipped that on the script. Humble, confident, does his job, does his work. That's not what Pickens is bringing.
Right. Yeah, he's bringing the talent, and now it is, and sometimes change changes people, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's see if this does change George for the better. I think from the neutral perspective, it would be cool to see, Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, they're cooking, right? Like, they get so many nationally televised games. It would be cool to see that. From my perspective, I obviously don't want to see that. And if I'm, sort of analyzing that situation, I just don't think it's actually a good move. Because I don't see the long-term plan. Like, because again, paying 2 wide receivers as much money as I know George Pickens is going to demand doesn't make sense to me. And the only other option then is that he is pissed off because he's not putting up the numbers that he needs to in order to get said money. So I don't see it good, short, or long, unless they literally win the Super Bowl this year.
It feels like an old school Dallas move. This feels kind of like T.O.
Yeah. It's a good comp, actually. Yeah.
Of Jerry Jones's moves over the course of the last 20, 30 years, is this in the camp of good or bad? I'm with you. I probably skew more bad long-term and what it means for the vision of the team. But do I think it immediately makes them better? Yeah, I absolutely do. I just think that you can't, just from an X's and O's standpoint, to have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens line up on the opposite sides of the field is a fucking problem.
No, for sure. On paper, it's scary. No. Listen, on paper, it's scary. I think our growth as fans, we look beyond paper these days, right? Like, I think that's sort of, because we were the paper team, right? We were like, oh man, like we got this person, this person, this person. What happened? We would keep losing.
But I push back as far as the Snyder comp. The reason I push back as far as the Snyder comp, as far as this move, is Pickens is 24 years old. Snyder would have done it if Pickens was 30 years old. Problematic motherfucker. All right, he's loud. Yeah, we're gonna do it. Yeah. Right. But you're talking, but a 24-year-old in Pickens, he has not done anything in this league egregious enough to say that you should write him off.
Correct.
Right. And if you got the right coach, now to me, from what I know in the stories that I've heard, you're really not going to find better motivators in this league than Mike Tomlin. So I don't know if he's going to a better situation as far as that shit goes. But if you feel as though you can get through to him and get the best out of him, It's worth doing. Like, I'll tell you this. When we were having the conversation about T. Higgins and DK Metcalf and all the rest of it, if you told me George Pickens could be available a third-round pick, when we were having that conversation about the wide receivers, and remember Tyreek Hill's name started popping up, I still think that we'd have the conversation as far as the locker room fit or the mesh in the culture and this, that, and the other. But third round for George Pickens, we are absolutely talking about that.
You think so? Because, okay, so here's the other thing that I haven't explicitly mentioned. I think bringing him in as a number 2 receiver is asking for trouble. So I think that if you are somebody that just doesn't have a wide receiver, right, and you need one, I think that makes sense because you have the room to pay the guy and you have the room to allow, his ego, his personality to be what it is. And you can work through that because he's the number 1. As the number 2, it feels like independent of how things are going, wins, losses, whatever, there's going to be a moment this year where he just makes it about him. And that is the trouble I think they're asking for. So if New England, right, who are just anemic on offense, tried to make this move, I actually get it. I know they'd be like, oh, it's not quite like, a Patriots type wide receiver. Frankly, they could use a little bit of a difference. Outside of Tom Brady's years, they need a talented wide receiver. They should be willing to deal with a headache, right? Like that's what they need. Dallas, I think they were much better served getting a complimentary wide receiver. I don't view George Pickens as a complimentary wide receiver. I think that's where I'm actually getting to.
I understand that. And I think that, once again, if we're going to try to question whether or not his head's going to be in the game or not in the game, hard to say. We don't know the motherfucker. I don't know what makes him tick. I don't know if it's just Pittsburgh. I don't know what the deal is. Okay. On paper, they don't have a running game that I think matters. They're going to throw the ball a lot. I think it becomes more akin to the Miami situation, more akin to the Cincinnati situation. You don't hear the number 2 receiver in any one of those situations complain about getting the ball or anything because they get a lot of fucking targets. Like that's what I think they're going to be. I think Brian Schottenheimer and these guys are going to be throwing all the fucking time. What that means as far as complimentary football, probably not great, but they're going to throw all the fucking time. And I'm sorry, but if you're on defense, if you want to try to double both of them, Godspeed. But like, if you got to pick one or the other and you leaving one of them on an island, I take one of those receivers over almost any cornerback you got. I do think they could score a lot of points. And I'm a little higher on Dallas than I think a lot of people are going into the season. I think you agree with me that and I do think just on paper, if they're not going to run the football and they need options for Dak to throw to, he's there. And just imagine those fucking bombs from Dak and what George Pickens' catch radius is. That's a fucking problem. I'm more curious about Pittsburgh's side. I wish I had more information from Pittsburgh's side. Why they wanted to get rid of him. Why the combination of George Pickens and DK Metcalf to me looked good on paper. The fact maybe they're still angling for Aaron Rodgers, I don't fucking know. Like whatever's happening there, I'm more curious about that end. If I'm Dallas, I can understand more if the phone got picked up and, hey, would you give us this for this? I could get it. And I would also understand their head coach being Brian Schottenheimer, offensive-minded guy, would absolutely agree to doing something like that.
I suppose it's a lot to ask for a first-year head coach. I think we got a lot of info from the Pittsburgh side. You're willing to make this deal for a third-round pick next year. This immediately doesn't make your team better from a talent standpoint, and they're willing to do that. Yeah, that's interesting to me. Just something
I get it.
So we'll see. But hey, I think that was an excellent point to end on, kid. I think you make a really good point. They're going to throw the ball a lot. There should be plenty of mouths to feed. And in that situation, maybe George Pickens is totally good because he is that talented and he's getting his targets in that scenario, which I can see happening. Any final thoughts here before we move to the comment mailbag?
Yeah, I think I'm looking at it strictly from a commander standpoint, knowing our secondary right now and looking at lineup against both of those guys. If you get them, I don't love it. I don't fucking love it. I don't love what that looks like. I have faith in our guys as far as the cornerbacks. I just don't think it's going to happen overnight as far as the success of these guys. And am I picking George Pickens or CeeDee Lamb over Jonathan Jones? No.
Repeat that. Sorry.
Our second corner, or depending on how Trey Amos versus George Pickens or CeeDee Lamb. I'm picking CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens. Mm-hmm. Mikey Sanders still versus either one of them. Jury's out this year. If it was last year, I'm picking CeeDee Lamb. I'm picking.
I think you're doing a Marshawn Lattimore, George Pickens, and I think you're doing a Mike Sanders still on CD.
What about Jonathan?
Well, that's the thing. That's the flexibility. So I think just based on matchup, based on size, based on speed, based on situation, you'll be able to pick however you want to do it.
I look at both of those guys and say, if what I've seen last year, I'm hoping they're both better than they were last year, of course, and they're making progress, especially Mikey.
Okay.
If it was last year and I see either one of those matchups of those guys one-on-one against those guys, I don't like it.
Okay. Fair enough. And with that, we go over to the comment mailbag featuring an intro from our very own Nikki.
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
All right. Thank you as always for that intro, Nikki. K.18 comments today. Appreciate you guys. Looking forward to going through this. And we begin with Coach Lombard. Shout out, Coach. I like the Conerly pick. It was a team need, a position of value, and not a reach. He's more athletic than Brandon Coleman, but he overcommits early, takes ass angles, and is toesy as fuck. He reminds me of Coleman, Neal, Wiley, and Tyler Guyton. Try those guys at right tackle first, but each of those guys is an NFL guard. I played, coached, and scouted offensive line and defensive line, and I love my wingbacks, but I am not a wide receiver expert. I would collab with Coach Breeze. He is a wide receiver / DB coach. By the way, quick subject on Coach Breeze, fellow Hardy Hawk. It was my year, so I'm sure we could make that one happen. I love Jaylin Lane as your log A.Z. I don't think Luke McCaffrey is a Z receiver. I love his bloodline, but I actually think he's a Debo type. I haven't done all my grades yet, so I can't give you data, but I can tell you that you guys are likely at least one more year away from another Super Bowl experience. Best of luck. K-Dot, your reaction to the comment.
I'm higher on Conerly than coaches, of course. That goes without saying. Jaylin Lane. I don't know, man. Jury's still out on all this shit. We're still really early on it. I think I like probably some of the tape more than you do. I do see some of the things with Josh Conerly, as we talked about it as soon as he got drafted. He definitely has some room to do improvements here and there and the other. But I also know that in college, what position playing? Left tackle. And here he's going to be playing right tackle. Very different as far as the way that the expectations or what it is he's going to do and who he's lined up against. I don't love the Coleman comp exactly. I think Coleman looks a little more lost in the sauce than Josh Conerly does. Coleman to me was a much bigger project than Conerly is. I don't think that's close. Yeah, I'll leave it there.
I mean, I think that makes total sense because when we look at Brandon Coleman's RAS, raw athletic score, off the charts, right? And we got him in the third round. And I think viewed as a project by the league. That's why he goes to the third round.
Yep.
And then you got Josh Conerly, who not as athletic, but if you're saying not a reach, that's a first round talent. Oh, okay, well, technique's pretty damn good. And when we think about what Dane Brugler said with the Beast, which is fabulous write-up, by the way, if you haven't looked at that before, guys, please take a look. It is core strength, just strength, that he's a young guy. He's 21. So I would anticipate as he gets stronger, which is going to happen with a guy with his work ethic, according to everybody in the building already. Like, I think we got ourselves a good one there.
My only concern with the offensive line at this point, I think they're going to grow and I actually like where we're at with the offensive line. I got to know the only question I have going for them going into the season is what does run blocking look like? I feel pretty good with pass blocking, but I do have some questions as far as what the run blocking is.
By the way, a name that we did not mention in terms of what to look out for rookie minicamp. Hey, Jacory Croskey-Merritt, right? If he shows out,
explosive. We want explosiveness.
You know, like there are instances of guys that go in the 6th, 7th round or undrafted that end up having impactful rookie seasons. So he could end up having one at running back. So just another name to look out for with his vision as well. D-Smoke 252, shout out. Please, please, please. Rio Robinson, Ed Oliver, and Rico from Street Scores are the other three to the top 5 with you two. Please collab with them. And I think he also goes, if y'all make this happen, I might cry. So clearly a big deal. We will prioritize those, D-Smoke, for sure. And appreciate you throwing the two of us in your top 5. I'm honored by that. Really appreciate it. So Rio Robinson, Ed Oliver, Rico from Street Scores. Rio's stuff I haven't seen in a little bit. Ed Oliver, consistent. So is Rio for that matter. Rico recently is the guy I've seen the most. I want to give him his flowers because at least it's recency bias for sure. The guy's good, man. Like I think it would be really, really cool to be able to collab with any of those three.
Yeah, I won't hear and I talk my shit about the other Commanders things. It's all about pod wars, baby, competition. But we all love each other in this space. I'm hopeful. It's nothing but love, but I can't murder all you suckers. Make sure your core fans never heard of you suckers.
We go to Coach one more time.
I'm trying to raise the bar higher. He's trying to jump again.
Hey, sorry for being ambitious, right?
You better off trying to skydive for the exit window. Sorry, Kendrick.
2 successful years of success is not a fluke. 2 successful years of success are not fraudulent. That's Coach talking. Because we had mentioned, we're talking about the Commanders' ceiling and expectations and what would be a good season, what would be a bad season. And we had this conversation about finishing third, right? And what we feel is a very strong NFC East this coming season.
Yes.
Right? With the Giants, by the way, everyone is underrating the Giants right now, in my opinion. Like everyone's like, oh, they're the worst team in football. I'm like,
they're not the worst team in football. If you're saying that,
not the worst team in football. Yeah, this is coming from a Commanders podcast, right? Like, that's just not true.
Unless Dart is the worst. All 3 of those guys that they got in the quarterback room have got to
Dart's not going to play. It's going to be Russ. Like he is. Look, he was a first-round pick. They traded up for him. Absolutely. I don't think he's playing until week 11, week 12. This is not an open competition.
I get that. I'm saying he will see playing time before the end of the season. That's all I was saying.
Okay, that's fair.
But there's a chance all 3 of these guys suck. Look, perfect world to me. Week 4, Malik Neighbors threatens Russell Wilson. There's a locker room mutiny. Jameis Winston ends up starting. He has a bang-up amazing first game, and it throws 6 interceptions the following game. And then what do we do? Jackson Dart time. And then Dart just goes out there and struggles. I'm hopeful for that, but I still think they're going to be able to run the football, and I think they got a defense that's worth a damn. As long as those 2 components are pretty decent, they just need a quarterback that doesn't turn over the football. And if you can deliver the ball in the Malik Neighbors' hands, he's your playmaker. That to me is the recipe.
I agree with you. And just in your scenario, I hope we're the team that plays the Giants week 6, which is when Jameis is due for about 6 interceptions.
Trey Amos 4 picks.
Yeah, it's oh, dude, we got the next. Ties the Angelo Halls record. Big Papa Grizzly with a couple here. Shout out. Every year for decades, I have said, I just want to see improvement. While that may still be true, I have higher expectations now. I don't think Jayden will have a normal sophomore slump. He is the first QB to train using VR that we know is sped up to 1.75x speed. Amit had that amazing anecdote about how he was watching game film at an event. This kid is locked in 24/7, 365. Passion and effort lead to the best results. Our offense is going to be a monster. Improvement along the offensive line will lead to better run lanes, and the better protection will allow for longer developing routes to be utilized. Cliff loves the long ball, and now we have Scary Terry, touchdown Noah Brown, and Jaylin Night Train Lane that can all take you 20-plus yards downfield. Bitch, please. I have extremely high hopes for our secondary. Jones, Lattimore, Amos, and Sandra Still. You had Medrano as the big nickel, and you might as well call them the Pentagon. We could very well be on our way to seeing a return of the Department of Defense. What I'm most excited for is our special teams. I want to see a bunch of guys of Croskey-Merritt runbacks and gay touchbacks. Pause. I'd like to see Tressway get another season off. The man has earned it. I just know we will have one of the most physical special teams units in the NFL. So what is the expectation? Why? Improvement, of course. Just like I said at the top, playoffs? Yes. I see us making the playoffs again. If we get bounced in the first round, I can handle that and still be happy about the year. Finishing third in the division would be unacceptable to me. I wouldn't be calling for anyone to get fired, but it would leave me with a lot more questions come next offseason. It's got a couple thumbs up there, K-Dot. Well said, Big Papa. Your reaction, K-Dot.
Look, I get when your team improves, the expectations should change. They should change for anybody when you stepped up a level. My only thing is that while I do understand expectations, I still need everybody to remember timelines. They started basically from scratch a year ago, and they exceeded all expectations, above all expectations last year. I don't think having a record that is worse than the record that they had last year, knowing the way the schedule kind of turned out, knowing the quarterbacks or lack of quarterback talent we played in certain aspects of last season, is a huge indictment on where it is the team is going. I think that that's going to take a lot more nuance than a record, honestly, in my opinion. So my expectations are still squarely and firmly improvement. Now, the Jayden Daniels piece of it all, I come from a school of, in the process of learning or doing, failure or adversity helps you learn and helps you get better. Maybe Jayden's facing that in the VR headset, because I haven't seen it necessarily on the field of that clip, but I always look for the moment where you have a player that goes through a slump or goes to a point where they have to figure out where their mental fortitude and toughness is to get through something. I thought all season long it was going to happen, and it didn't really happen. We had like short bursts of, all right, he's a rookie. But beyond that, it wasn't anything crazy. So I there's no part of me that doesn't still kind of expect that to some degree, even though he's kind of rewriting the script. I just still think at least I think he's a human being. And that's what we do. But look, if you were to tell me that Jayden's never going to have the slump, this is just who he is and he gets better. We just saw the best rookie season all year of all time, so maybe the rules just don't apply to him. But I do not think steps back as far as production or outcome necessarily means steps back as far as the organization or where it is we're going overall.
Kid, I remember so I was thinking about that, right? Jayden has not gone through a slump yet. And could I entertain the possibility and sell you on the slump being the 3-game losing streak, right? So we're 7-2. There's still some questions around the rib, right?
Yeah.
And we go on the road to Philadelphia, and let's be real, that was a brutal game, right? That's when we have the video of the report. I think it was Kaylee Hartung who like managed to get from Jayden, yeah, my ribs bother me. I'm wearing carbon fiber padding around it. And it was like, what? So he's going through that. We then lose to Pittsburgh, and then we're like, okay, cool. We're home to Dallas. Everyone's hurt for Dallas.
Yeah.
We'll win that game, and we lose.
Yeah.
Could we say that was sort of the slump where he is getting back to full health, and we've gone through 3 games losing, and then after that, we just take off, and that was the bounce back to it?
Possibly, but the injury piece of it is what makes me a little hesitant to say that that's the slump. Like,
but it's also possible that can occur again, right?
I'm not denying that. And whether or not he
clear,
learned something from an adversity standpoint and getting injured, yeah, that's a part of the process too. But I'm talking about just your play suffers. Because like even in a 3-game losing streak, he wasn't bad. He was like he just couldn't do certain things.
No, he ended up just being a good NFL quarterback, which is hilarious.
Right.
Instead of this like electric.
Like, I can't call it a slump. Like I'm looking through all of his stats.
But for him, it is, no?
Has he ever had a game where he threw more picks than touchdowns?
No.
Like that alone to me is like Aaron Rodgers has some of those. Tom definitely has some of those. Peyton Manning absolutely has a ton of those. Joe Montana, Johnny United. I don't give a fuck who you are. Like,
let me ask you this though, K-Dot. Let me ask you this. So here's the difference between him and those guys.
He's got. I get it.
That wasn't what I was going to say, but your words, not mine, and I do agree. But the thing is, like, he's got his legs, right? So when he doesn't trust to throw, I don't think we give enough credit for the ones he doesn't make, right? Because a lot of the interceptions were like, it hit somebody in the hands for us. Like, it wasn't a truly bad throw. There were a couple that were truly bad. The Arizona one once sailed on him, and it was like, okay, that wasn't a good throw. It wasn't a good decision. But that was also week 4, right? Like,
No, it absolutely saves him. I mean, going into the draft process when we were ranking all the quarterbacks, what did I say about Jayden? I thought that of all the quarterbacks, the one who is probably going to be off to the fast start is Jayden because of what he can do with his legs.
right.
He's going to be able to buy time. Now, the thing with Jayden is, remember, one of the criticisms for him was take more shots. Like, you don't need to run here, take the shot. So I get from a learning curve standpoint, as long as you're still learning to look downfield in the throw, and you're like, and you saw it as the season went on.
He did take shots, right?
I'm taking the shots, and I'm only running when I need to run or when I see the lane to run. And that, yeah, it buys you time. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying in the process of doing anything, you just have a moment where shit ain't going right. Like, it's not that like you forgot how to do something. I mean, even us professionally, you've had slumps at work. I've had slumps at
For
work.
sure. We talked about it.
Right. So it's like, that's all I'm looking for. It's like, when does he have just a bad day for no rhyme or reason other than it's a bad day? Maybe mom cock blocked him the night before and it's in his head. I don't know. But where's just Jayden Daniels seems capable of having just a bad day. Like, maybe, all right, the anecdote that you told about him studying the tape after the Eagles game, maybe his bad day is this entire offseason just fucking angry about all. Maybe he's got that Jordan,
I think he
Kobe
does.
craziness part of him, right? At least he smiles better than all of them. So, yeah, you know what? I would say this. If he is the Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, killer instinct, but with a smile on his face, I am worried about his mental well-being. Because I don't know, because that motherfucker will explode one day. And like, you can't keep.
Yeah, when mom lets him, we got it. I get it. What I'm saying is that I mean, come on, like, it was right there. But remember his look after the Baltimore loss? We moved to 4-2, and that's the one where you're like, oh, Jayden's serious right now.
He wants the shit.
Like, the smile's gone. You went on the road, lost by a touchdown to the reigning league MVP, and he's like, we let one get away. That's crazy.
Well,
like, he is different.
The other component that I would tell you, as far as if you wanted to make a case against me that he'll ever see a downfall in any way, he's 24 years old. He was in college fucking forever. What it is that we're looking at as far as the overall landscape of quarterbacks and the way that they develop in the league, usually you don't have as much time as he's had in some of these guys that came out. So maybe the adversity that he's supposed to face that other guys have faced was what happened at Arizona State.
Yep.
Maybe that already happened for him. Like, maybe he already learned how to bounce back. I don't know if you've heard all the Malik Neighbors stuff about Jayden. I forget what podcast or anything he was on, or he was talking about like how they still talk every day. And I think every Commanders fan was like, Malik Neighbors wants to be a Commander. I didn't get that necessarily, but the way he said that Jayden kind of carried himself is being the professional and still calling out everybody about, like, what are you doing? Have you worked out today? Have you worked out today? Why haven't you worked out today? You should go work out today. Like, that sort of stuff means his head's always in the game. He loves this shit. I'm just wondering, for his own well-being as a human being, the human being level, if your ass is that competitive and you're able to hide it through your smile all day, every day. You ever heard the term going postal?
Nope.
Don't need to explain it, but you can Google it.
I could get it from
I just don't want to
Clues
hear. I don't want to hear. Look, Jayden was caught in a nightclub.
Well,
He
right.
fucking lost his shit and like cracked somebody in the head with a bottle because he can't take it.
I think what we are discussing right now is he's too perfect. Surely there's a flaw, and
Yes!
you don't want to find out the wrong way. Yeah.
Dog, when you're dating somebody, everything's going right. You're like, motherfucking something.
Something.
Because we got to figure out the something to get through to something, whether or not we're going to work. When everything's too perfect, you're like, I don't trust this. You're lying to me. You're faking. You're lying to me. Like,
so give me the 5 interception, no touchdown day so that I know you're good otherwise. Because otherwise, this is a little too perfect.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. No, I get it. I get it. Otherwise, we hear the nightclub thing. We don't want that. Yeah.
That's it. I just want to see you unhappy and to be unhappy for real. The times that we saw him not smiling last year, it's like, it wasn't your fault, bro. Like, you did everything you could do. I get it. I'm glad that you feel that competitive about it. But just on a human level, I need to see you suffer just a little bit and bounce back from it, because I don't know if you can take it.
Look, that episode when he does throw 5 picks and no touchdowns, you're going to actually see a celebration on the pod.
I'm wearing shades.
Yeah. we go to Big Papa with another one. We spent a lot of time on that comment. Good comment, Big Papa. I'm wearing shades. For the love of God, can we get away from the bum-ass Falcons? Every fucking year we have to play these clowns. I get it. We finished in the same place in our respective divisions. How is it our fault that they can't seem to win what has been historically one of the weakest divisions in football? Why do we as fans get subjected to having to share a stadium with Falcons fans for half a decade? Damn, he's going in on the Falcons. Their coach's kids making prank phone calls at all hours of the night to the stadium. Their coaching staff leaving all those unused timeouts out on our field for the groundskeeper to clean up. The unrelenting stench of poor decision-making and subpar play calling that accompanies that organization wherever it goes. It's inescapable. Hopefully this is the last year for a long time that we have to see these hoes. Big Papa, my reaction, how much money did you lose on the Falcons this past season?
Not as much as me.
Your reaction, K-Dot.
Or every year. You talk about them being hoes or whatever. The last 4 times we played them, this is 4 victories. Put them on the schedule every year for all I fucking care. Look, you ain't gonna find me defending the fucking Falcons anymore. Fuck that. Also, I do think the Jeff Ulbrich thing did not get handled to the level at which I did get handled. It did get handled. I think it was a bigger deal than it is that I do think some heads should have rolled.
I think it's a very big deal. I think the fine was a total slap on the wrist to ownership. I think the fine should have been more for ownership. Chatting with people who are like, oh, it's not the owner's fault. It's like, yeah, well, guess what? If you do fine the owner enough, then there is change. Otherwise, it's just like, whatever. Okay. Whoops. D coordinator made a mistake. Pump defense this year.
And I'm supremely disappointed in Raheem Morris and that coaching staff, a coaching staff that I respect, a coaching staff that I even wanted here. And to hear shit like that goes on, I don't give a fuck who you are. You're not leaving shit unlocked for your dumbass, spoiled, entitled ass son to do whatever the fucking dumb shit he wanted to do, which I go on for days about that shit because that was some cowardly bitch made shit.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And for players that are waiting for this phone call, they've been waiting for this phone call their whole lives to have to go through that. I don't care who you are, man. Like that's fucked up.
Clown show.
Yeah, total agreement. Coach Lombard with a few here. All short though, so they're quick. So I'll go rapid fire on these, okay?
Sounds good.
First one, which I think you'll enjoy, K-Dot, because this one's interesting. Luvu as an edge rusher is Micah-ish, Abdul Carter-ish. Okay, that's the first one. Second one, my under the radar guys are Luke McCaffrey and Conerly. Okay. Third one, so is AP better at trades and free agency, or is he better at the draft? Is another question. And then we conclude with this one. The difference between Howie and AP is that Howie drafts for 5 years from now. AP drafts for 5 months from now. Howie has that luxury. AP might have that luxury one day. So 4 comments there, right? Kid, I'll let you react to the whole thing, and then I'll also do the same.
I like the under the radar stuff, and that's what I'm saying as far as the Frankie Luvu thing. Look, the pass rush stuff from last year. Once again, Dante Fowler is basically the only thing that was separated us from what it is we had as far as a team last year to this year. Pass rush was not necessarily the biggest of our concern as much as it was we can't stop the fucking run. They addressed that like a motherfucker this last offseason if you're looking at what it is that happened on the defensive line. Now, I get it. People are going to miss the production, but we were still I think we looked at it was like 11th in sacks, I think, last year with a bunch of fucking no-names. So, like, to me, if they do get clever with Frankie, which is something I heard way back in the offseason, is something that I like the idea of, especially when you got some of these young linebackers you want to get some playing time next to Bobby, I love it. And I think that to me, if I had to pick Frankie Luvu versus Dante Fowler to rush the quarterback, I'm picking Luvu. I'm picking Luvu.
Yeah. Just to add to your point real quick, and then back to you.
Yeah.
Carolina was more upset when they lost Frankie Luvu, not Brian Burns.
Yes.
And they it's documented, by the way. You guys can look that up. And Frankie Luvu was also playing some edge for Carolina. Yep. They love what he can do. So it's not coming from nowhere. Please continue, Kate.
No, so I do think that's going to be a big part of it. And you got to remember, a lot of the pass rush stuff that we did do well and probably better than anything else. And the thing that got Dante Fowler and some of those guys the sacks was that combination of Bobby Wagner and Frankie Luvu up the gut on the quarterback rushes to force the quarterback to leak out to one side or the other, which caused the cleanup sack by one of the defensive ends. I'm just saying there are some things there. We had to address the run defense. And they did that. They did that in spades. I'm just hoping it works out on the field. there's that piece. What was another thing I wanted to talk about? Why the fuck am I smoked?
So we did under the radar guys. We did Frankie Louvu, and now there's AP and Howie.
There is nothing that Adam Peters does right now on paper better than Howie Roseman. Period. Like if we're gonna grade him on if we're gonna grade him on trades, what's the sample size? Marshawn Lattimore, jury's out. Laramie Tunsil, we haven't even gotten started. So like, what are we grading? Yep. And then Deebo Samuel, once again, we haven't seen anything yet. So we have no idea. There's not enough large sample size. And the stories that come out of San Francisco, you're never sure who was responsible for what at this point in that building. As far as the other stuff, yeah, you're right. I'm not doing the comparison between Howie Roseman and Adam Peters because our roster is nowhere near the level at which Philadelphia had. And how long has Howie had to build that roster? I give him all the credit in the world. The only reason they're in the position to do what it is they're doing is because of what Howie did. I do think it's a little unfair to say that Adam Peters is only looking at things from a 5-month standpoint. I basically think everything other than the Marshawn Lattimore thing to me is a long-term investment as far as what you're doing with your team. If you want to talk about the Laramie Tunsil thing being, oh, that's a 5-month thing, fuck that noise. You have a franchise quarterback in Jayden Daniels. You can't afford to get fucking hurt. Otherwise, fuck your future. You got to protect him. So that's what we did. We went and we got the best left tackle that is available, period, point blank, for the compensation we had to give up for him. What better deal are you going to get in the league to get a more talented left tackle than Laramie Tunsil? You can't do it. So, like, that to me is hugely that's a future-proofing thing to do. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't think that we can even go as far as to say this offseason, a lot of Commanders fans have been very, very upset or very, I wish we did more. I wish we did that. And that is credit to Adam Peters of not getting ahead of the fucking gun and to stick to what it is that he knows the long-term process is going to be. So that's the only pushback I give you is I do not think it's fair to say Adam Peters is not looking long-term.
No, I think an analogy that I would make, and Kate, I feel free to distance yourself from this one, is like with Adam Peters and Howie Roseman, Adam Peters has only been at this for a year, right? So let's start there. It's a very, very small sample. I think it's a good year, but it's small. And then Howie Roseman, very, very decorated, just came off the Super Bowl and has another 10 picks next year. I want to say, like, the guy knows what he's doing. He's excellent. And I think that you can safely say right now, Howie over AP, and no one's going to argue with you over there. In the same way that I think, we got a really promising year out of Jayden Daniels. It was all really good, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. Like, it's been a year, right? And Mahomes has this decorated resume. He's done a year in and year out. Like, we cannot have that conversation yet, right? Now, 5 years from now, maybe we can. And 5 years from now for Adam Peters and Howie, we certainly can as well. I would also say that Adam Peters, the 5 months from now thing, I would also push back on because everyone and their mother was screaming for an edge rusher, right? First round. What we do? Took an offensive tackle. Yep. That seems like 5 years from now, especially with the guy being young, right? Laramie Tunsil, that left tackles can go until they're 37, 38, 40 even, right? He's 31 right now. Right. So all we have is that, like, our draft is always best player available, which best player available always means years from now, not just right now. And then if we look at our trade, the only trade that was made for right now was the Marshawn Lattimore one.
Right.
And he did arrive with the bum hamstring, unfortunately. Right. If AP didn't know that, I think it's fair to criticize him, especially if it was a right now move. I think that's fair. But if AP knew that also, then it's like, okay, I think it was a calculated gamble that didn't go well for the right now, literally last season. But now let's see, right? He's 28. He's not like 31. This is it. Like, these are all our chips. We do have Marshawn for hopefully 2 to 3 more productive years. Right. So that's the pushback I'd have there.
Everything worked out the way we were in an NFC Championship game last year, so I'm not criticizing any of the fucking moves. I take 2 points. Number one, if Howie's the best in the game, a lot of what ends up being the most interesting draft content, post-draft content, the last 2 years have been the interaction between Howie Roseman and Adam Peters. And in my opinion, the way that Howie Roseman talks about Adam Peters and talks to Adam Peters seems to me of the utmost respect and like, holy shit. And I don't hear that from Howie Roseman when it comes to everybody else. I think there's actual mutual true respect. You also got to remember Adam Peters was the hottest commodity in the league as far as from a front office standpoint. He just wasn't taking any fucking phone calls. So yeah, you gotta fucking take that with a grain of salt. And because my short-term memory is completely out of shit. I forgot what the other fucking.
Well, I got the other thing, which is that the in-division tax line coming from that Pat McAfee Show interview Adam Peters goes, actually, Howie's the one that told me that first. They didn't show that part. And so this year, I'm just giving it back to him. So there is a healthy respect for each other, and there's healthy competition. And also, Adam Peters didn't back down saying, yeah, I'm willing to make a move with that guy again. No,
the other point that I just remembered, and this might be I don't think this is controversial, but Coach, I want to hear your thought process. Harry Roseman has never made a better draft pick than Jayden Daniels.
Something to think about. I would say he hasn't. We go over to Earl Bruce. Shout out Earl Bruce. Outstanding show. My collab suggestion, since you've already done Ref the District, would be the Commanders Kings, either together or separately. There's also John Keim, Logan Paulson, and Lake Lewis, who would also be good gets. Is the team better now than when we last saw them? Yes. Is the schedule tougher? Absolutely. My view of success and progress is a home playoff win. Now, that sounds simple-ish, right? Just a home playoff win, right? You could just say that. Rolls off the tongue. It's pretty smooth. It means winning the division, right? Because that's how you get it home, unless you're the 5 seed and mayhem occurs in the playoffs and it's a 5 hosting a 6 or, 5 hosting a 7 or something like that. So a home playoff win would either mean, which, by the way, if we were a 5 seed, that would mean an NFC championship victory at home, or the more likely one, which is winning the division, which is hard, and winning maybe a wild card round or a divisional round. K-Dot, your reaction?
I mean, if you believe in a Super Bowl hangover, I guess to some degree, maybe you're rooting for that. Maybe, hopefully, Philadelphia is not a fucking dynasty in the making. Maybe. Like, if we do it 2 years in a row where we're like deep in the playoffs, or we're doing some fucking playoff thing, yeah, my expectations, I think, at that point change. 1 year is 1 year. 2 years in a row with everything you just lined up as far as how tougher the season is going into it and how the division's even tougher.
Yeah.
Maybe we at that point, you'll hear me come on here and start talking like you guys as far as what the expectations mean, and that there's a standard that we have to hit. And I want to be there. But I just think that we are 1 year into the recalibrated of all recalibrations that you could ever imagine. I still cannot, for the life of me, wrap my head around the success that we had.
Unbelievable. Truly unprecedented. And I would say that this year for me, K-Dot, is about confirming the standard. That's success.
Okay.
Right. That's what this year is about. It's not
that.
Super Bowl. It is, let's confirm this is who we are. That's why I want Bobby back. Right.
I'm sorry. That's our new phrase. That's the new motto. Share this shit is now here. Still be our top dog.
Right.
Confirm the standard is now our second thing. Confirming the standard is what we're looking for now. That was wonderfully done, sir.
No, glad that. No, I appreciate that. And when you said it, I was like, oh, you're right. This is confirming the standard. Jamal, BB Shaw, Bon, we shout out. I think how we do this year depends on how well we start the season. Building the team's confidence and expectations early is the key. On paper, both offense and defense have improved. Player-wise, at least 10 or 15%. The question is, can the team surprise the league this year like it did last year? Whatever happens, we should see many good, exciting games this year. Also, what are the chances we get the Eagles at Link the first week of the season? Listen, the Eagles' first week at the Link, I would hate that. And I'm telling you that right now. That is such an important game. And the emotional push that teams get at home, dropping the banner. Look at the record of teams that host that first game. It's incredible. The home team just dominates. And that is too important a game, in my opinion, to have that be the opener, where then the best case scenario would likely be a split with the Eagles. So I'm hoping that we don't get that first game with them. Get out your reaction.
I'm the exact opposite. Bring it the fuck on. I want it now. I want every challenge.
Think about the statement if we won that, huh?
Confirming the standard. What better way to start that shit off?
You're right. I was wrong. You're right. Yeah.
We got to remember we're keeping this is what I'm talking about as far as what the expectation is. I want to reset our brains just a little bit in the way that we treat this team. But I think it starts with attitude. It's the same way that the mentality we had going in the playoffs last year. Give us Philly. Why? That's the biggest challenge. And that's the shit that we want to be able to say whether or not we did. And what happened? We lost that fucking game. But you know what's been in Jayden's head from your little anecdote and everybody? He can't stop thinking about that shit. So I'm saying off the gate, if they beat Philly in Philly with the banner drop. Get the fuck out of here.
Dog, you got me so fired up. I've changed my stance. Bring it. Like, this is, especially after the anecdote that I forgot. Like, he's watching Eagles film and he gets to return to Philly immediate next game. Oh, he'd be so locked in. I'm getting goosebumps right now.
He'd be the happiest of anyone with that outcome. Jayden would be like, oh, yeah. That would be the entire offseason about, we're going to beat Philadelphia fucking ass week 1. I want that.
We may have to live stream a pregame show for that. Like, actually, it'd be like, guys, like, this is fucking happening. Man, I'm fired up. May 9th. God, it needs to get here.
We want to do hard shit. It's not easy road shit anymore. We want the hard shit. The hard shit is what I'm talking about with the expectations. If the record isn't as good as it was last year, but they've gone through hard shit, it makes this team better going forward. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want. Challenge us.
On a slight aside, actually, it's a total aside. Have you seen the Lions road schedule? I was talking to Matt Regan about this. Shout out, former host of the pod. Oh my God, I got to pull it up for a second. I was laughing halfway through the read of the schedule. I mean, just a real quick one, and then we'll continue with a comment mailbag. I was in stitches. Their road games at Chicago, at Green Bay, at Minnesota. You know that tough division. All right, at Washington, at Philadelphia, at Baltimore, at Kansas City, at Cincinnati, at the LA Rams. Yeah, you did the same thing. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, you talk about doing hard shit. What's their easiest at the LA Rams, I guess? Like, that's your easiest one?
How important was Ben Johnson?
I'm about to find out.
About to find out.
That is a brutal road schedule. So I just could not help but laugh at that. It was fucking great.
That's what's going to be sad about Detroit is that there is a chance Detroit's window, at least this incarnation of this team, is coming to a close. So that is not the schedule you want to see if you're them, but they're in a much different situation than we are. They've gone through the hard shit. It's just they ran into a buzzsaw that nobody expected last year, and they were banged up like a motherfucker. And sometimes that's the luck that you can't. That's the bad luck you can't plan for, is like the bad health that goes through. They were decimated by the time they got to us last year.
Oh, it's true. It's true.
If they're at full strength, that game probably has a different outcome. If they're at full strength, I feel good about Detroit going against any one of those teams. If I pick them on any given Sunday, I'd probably pick Detroit. All of those teams, maybe they had the injury luck last year and they'll have good luck this year. Who knows? But yeah, that's a tough road to follow. I kind of wish we had it.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about doing hard shit. That's what it made me think of. I was like, that's a gauntlet right there. That's the ringer. I want to
ask, if we had that schedule, is the expectation of a playoff win still legitimate?
That's a good question. Well, I would say confirming the standards about who we are. So it's
fuck confirming the standard. If we win a playoff game with that fucking schedule, we are a team of God.
A home playoff game? Yes. No, then
we're a team of God.
Then it's insane. Yeah.
We're the best. We're the fucking best. What I'm saying. Yeah. You're saying with that schedule to make the playoffs.
Oh my Lord. Yeah.
This team,
we do that schedule? Oh, that would be insane. Wildly successful.
If you finish 8-8 and third in the division with that schedule, how you feeling?
No, it's understandable, just to be totally honest.
Thank you. That's
yeah. Okay. No. I get it. We go to the RT boss shout out in regards to favorite commander creator Louis T. So also want to shout you guys. Here's to Benjamin as well. To Benjamin's 88. Any one of the Commanders Kings, but especially Louis T or Rio. Just wanted to shout all you guys out. One, it means you were listening deep into the last episode, which we thoroughly appreciate because I asked for that, and everyone is like, "Yeah, got it." So you guys are locked in. Thoroughly appreciate that. Two, we're getting a lot of the same people, K-Dot. So we've got a nice little lane to zero in on to get these guys to join us. So I'm looking forward to that.
No doubt. Look, I love that we have our regulars. I love that you guys are becoming part of the family. I will tell you, at the beginning of every podcast, when I'm saying the rhyme about share this shit, it's not just a funny thing I say. Share the fucking podcast.
Yeah, it's true. Please do, because then it makes it that much easier for them to be like, oh, cool, I want to collab with these guys, right? So, like, we need that.
We don't have your help really right now, guys. Like, I think we do a good product. I think you guys agree to come in and listen to us every week. We need help.
We do. We thoroughly appreciate that. We will be reaching out on our own as well. But if you guys comment on their videos like, hey, District Divided, that would help a whole lot.
That helps.
Appreciate
As a matter of fact, do that. And according to Share This Shit, if you made it this far in the podcast, you were one of our diehards, and we love you to fucking death. We both have full-time jobs, and this podcast costs us more money than it's making us money.
That's actually true.
So
that is true.
At the end of the day, what we're asking of you for our diehards, if you love us, go in the comments of the other podcasts you listen to and start dropping our shit, telling them, hey, Dish Divided, go do. It will help us tremendously. We don't have the time to build this the way that we want to because we have to earn a living. If it ever gets to a point where it transitions over, I know I'm fucking. This will be everything for me.
Oh,
like
I'm
all in.
Oh,
We're locked in.
Gosh, should be awesome. Yeah.
But we do need help getting there. And if you do love our product and you love to share this shit rants, truly do that. Do that. Help us get there.
Yes, absolutely. And we thoroughly appreciate everything you guys already do for us in terms of the common mailbag.
100%.
What's one more thing, which we greatly appreciate? Here's JG.
Start dropping that Patreon on my OnlyFans, Josh. Feet pics. Come on.
Yeah, it's that or K.OnlyFans. JG goes, I was curious about Seibert. I had always assumed Gonzalez was just a temporary patch. Did Seibert burn his bridges with Washington because he tried to kick while injured in the Dallas game and pretty much cost us the game? As K-Dot pointed out, he was a very reliable kicker for us until that game. I will go ahead and answer that first. Yes, he burned a lot of goodwill in that game, and he rushed back, and it was bad. That did 2 missed extra points, especially after the Terry touchdown that was. Lightning strikes twice in Washington. Hell of a call. And then to miss that, right, was, oh, you rushed back. You told us you were good. We trusted you. See you. And Zane didn't do anything to lose the job after that, right? So I think that's what we ended up seeing. But also, one more fact, Austin Seibert after that game, I didn't see him limping or anything. He was put on IR right after that. So I think that tells you all you need to know about what the team thought of him kicking that game. K-Dot, your reaction.
I think you're inferring a little bit more than I have throughout that situation. All I would know is that I do think the injury, of course, was worse than he was letting on or that we knew. And he shouldn't have come back that game. But yeah, Austin Seibert was somebody I did get excited about at one point last season, but that all got thrown out after that game. How could you have that confidence in him? Even though I still have the idea, you have a rough day, what do you do coming back? But I don't know what happened. Either he's still fucking hurt right now, or he truly lied his ass off to everybody in the fucking.
I'd like to think he was hurt, but then why are you kicking?
Look, I'm guessing I don't remember the run up to that specific game, or what did he look like in practice? How was everything going as far as that? I can't imagine I'll tell you this: if the team's logic is, oh, you tell us we're good. You tell us you're good, so we trust you. You're good. I don't like that. I would say that there's some room to improve that process if that's what you guys are doing. He had to have done something, I think, in order to get on that field. But I also know that we were desperate as fuck from a kicking standpoint last year after we got rid of that fucker. Yeah. Look, I just hope Matt Gay. He's got numbers extremely comparable to what it is that Seibert did. And yet that motherfucking can kick touchbacks. As long as that's the process, but what it is, it's also happening with for our special teams, the guys that we have, I feel good. And it's definitely an upgrade. I ain't crying over it. Matt Gay looks to be just as good, if not better, than Austin Seibert.
Yeah. And yeah, hey, hand up. I recognize I'm just salty about that loss. Odds are he was fine, and he just didn't kick well. That's the likely thing. I was just like, God damn it, dude. How'd you miss 2 extra points?
But see that means if he missed the 2 extra points, in my philosophy, I spent this entire podcast talking about how I want people to face adversity and then get through it. I'd love to see him come back and see what it is he could do. But
that's fair.
I think he's legitimately hurt because I haven't heard shit. I haven't heard a goddamn thing about Austin Seibert. And I do believe that I know that they've done a really good job as far as the organization of keeping things in house, especially if there's anything controversial, whatever. We haven't heard anything. And it's a football team, a bunch of human beings. There's got to be some controversial shit that's happening at some point.
I just think we would have heard something injury aside.
I think the hip injury was something serious. I think he's hurt. I just don't think he's the same anymore.
Fair enough.
And for that, I feel sorry for Austin Seibert, who I came to really appreciate at one point last season.
Oh, absolutely. And I did too. I mean, he came in week 2, went 7 for 7, won us the game. Right. Won us that game and then kicked very well moving forward. Couldn't get it out of the end zone. Wasn't a big deal actually until the Dallas game. where Robert Turbin takes one to the house and the 2 missed extra points. I think it was a lot to overcome. And that also was the 3rd game in a 3-game losing streak. Sky's falling for the team type shit. And it's like, all right, well, we need to do something, right? Like trotting him back out next week on a 3-game losing streak after what just happened. Tough move. Bet boy Tony C, shout out. The Cowgirls made a big move. 3 of the teams in our division have dynamic wide receiver duos now. Terry and Debo, CD and George Pickens, AJ and Devontae Smith. On top of that, the Giants have gotten better. All 6 division games last year were tough. The Cowboys, without Dak, gave us all we could handle. I'm seeing this year's NFC East as possibly looking like last year's NFC North, which we had actually mentioned last episode. Vegas has the line for our win total set at 10.5. I can see our team having 1 or 2 less wins than we had last year, but actually being a better team. Thoughts? Share this shit, bitches. K-Dot, your reaction.
Yeah, I think everybody in the division has very dynamic wide receivers groups. And as much as I like these guys, I'm telling you that I think you're underselling the George Pickens thing. But I think I'm
Sure. No, I can see that. I can absolutely see. I've opened myself to that. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, he's a deep.
I'm not concerned for whatever reason. I'm just not.
I'm not concerned because I still think we're playing with house money. But that's my mentality. It's like I don't feel bad about anything because I still think we're playing with house money. And as long as I think the pieces are in place and the team is young enough in certain positions that I feel very confident that they are going to learn some very valuable lessons, and some guys are going to take strides going into year 2. And some guys I think are in positions to possibly, because of the moves and because of some of the success that some of the guys on the current roster have had, will have opportunities to explode in year 1. I'm looking at you, Jaylin Lane, with what's happening with the offensive line, where Jayden Daniels has progressed, the fact that they have Debo Samuel. Jaylin Lane's job as a rookie just got easier because of what it is that's happening as far as the rest of the field. Love that shit. Mikey Sanders still. You got Trey Amos now. You pick up a few other cornerbacks. There's some other. You got some opportunity to take some more strides. The pressure's not on you the same way that it was last year, right. But also for Trey Amos, you're not walking into a completely decimated cornerback room that was last year with Emmanuel Forbes trying to fucking be something. You got more ample opportunity. The pressure's not there. I just think that we're in a position where everybody can take a step to make true progress, but expectations just get better.
Earl Bruce, further collabs I'd like to see. Oh, real quick. Sorry. I forgot to react to your comment, Tony, and then back to Earl Bruce. So Tony, our team having 1 or 2 less wins than we had last year, but actually being a better team, I agree with. The schedule gets tougher. You are going to have harder games, and there are expectations now on you and film on Jayden and the offense that were not there last year. So when you factor all that in, if we only ended up with 1 or 2 less wins than last year, that is 10 to 11 wins. Happy with that. Okay. So that's my reaction. And Earl Bruce, one more time, shout out. Further collabs I'd like to see. The Burgundy Zone, Washington Commanders Insider, Red Zone in the Lab, Washington Carter, Everything Commanders with DT Buddha, JTFB with Josh Taylor, Keeping Up with the Commanders with Mason Kinahan. Shout out Earl Bruce, giving us all sorts of options over there, K-Dot. Your reaction to that?
Is it wrong that I don't know most of them? I should know.
You're just locked into the craft. No, I get it.
Yeah, and now I'm a PS5.
Leave that to me. I'll get locked in there. You just focus on being the alpha and star of this show. Hopefully I got oh, I just went straight to Jess. We're concluding with Jess Santo. Okay. Shout out. Hopefully I got this one in time. You most certainly did, Jess. Just got home from work. We as a fan base just need to sit back and realize what has happened to this team over the past 2 years. If anyone had told you 4 years ago that Snyder would sell the team to a powerhouse of an ownership group, that they would hire an elite GM prospect and an innovative front office, that they would then hire a second chance head coach that truly cares about people as much as winning, whom would also hire a bunch of experienced coaches who were also on a redemption arc. And then in the first pick of their first draft, they would pick the prototype of everything you would ever want in a franchise quarterback that this team has not had in 40 years. Follow all of that up with their first playoff win in almost 20 years before they go to a first NFC championship game in over 30 years. Going into the offseason, they have a second highly graded draft. Get this team back into the RFK site that are scheduled to have the NFL draft in DC. The league and Goodell are behind this team. They are a media darling underdog feel-good story, and other fan bases are pulling for us. If someone told you this 4 years ago, you would say that is everything I could ever want. Let's not nitpick little things, beg for the old name back or get cocky. Be humble, appreciative, and enjoy possibly the biggest franchise turnaround in sports history. We deserve this success, and always remember what we were. Don't be boisterous, obnoxious she-gals fans. We are better than that. We are currently the hottest team in the league. Share this shit. K-Dot?
No notes.
No notes. That was beautifully said. Literally, like,
wonderfully said.
This was a show. This was District Divided, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode, where we covered all sorts of stuff. Rookie minicamp, the Spain game, George Pickens, Adam Peters on McAfee, like you name it, we did it. The draft coming to DC. I'm Amit, that is K-Dot. And if you enjoyed the episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
Next season's coming. The pressure is real. Pats hit loud. We sat in that field. No more talk. No need for slander. This team's going to show up and confirm their standard. So spread the word and don't throw a fit. Y'all know this drill. Now shit ain't shit. And also comment on your favorite Commanders podcast that you want them to collaborate with Dish Divided, the up-and-coming hot podcast. You know, just saying to talk about the hottest team being the Commanders. It's the hottest podcast right here, baby.
Hottest podcast for sure. Share the shit. And also, Slip confirmed the standard in there so quickly. Well done. That was incredible. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you guys next Friday, 2 p.m. Hey, maybe even next Thursday, because the NFL schedule does officially release on Wednesday. So look out. Maybe we do a slightly earlier release. Maybe we don't. We'll see. But until then, take it easy and have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.